All right.
Hey, welcome everybody. I want to welcome those of you on the Sears team and Janet Kidd and her team. Welcome, welcome. This is awesome. For the next 7 weeks, we're going to focus on building our businesses through social media. And James reached out to me a couple weeks ago. He said, hey, would you like to be a part of this for the next 7 weeks with your team? A lot of the teams are doing it. And I'm like, yes, let's do that. So thanks for reaching out to me. I really
Sure.
appreciate it. And I do know, I love that we're going to go over the different, the Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all those things. I think it's awesome. So just want to welcome everybody. So we're going to be doing this for the next 7 weeks and right in this spot. And all of these trainings will be recorded. They will be uploaded to YouTube, and I will post that link. I can post that link, right?
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
I will post it on our team Facebook page. If you guys are not part of our team Facebook page yet, let me know and I'll add you. But you'll all have access to it, and you can let your teams know, that this was recorded. So, okay, let's go. Let's get started.
All right. Perfect. All right. Thanks everybody for sticking a few extra minutes on. I promise not to do that again to you next week. I have not booked myself right up until the start of this presentation for the coming week. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and give you a little bit of background. So as Diane said, my name is James Ketchum. I am with a company called Edge Theory. Edge Theory is an official Juice Plus partner, and we have been bringing the soundboard to the Juice Plus Nation for the past 2 years. And we rebuilt it about 6 months ago. So we launched a version of it 2 years ago from the main stage at the Sacramento conference that was Twitter only. Had a lot of great feedback from that. But across the last year, worked with Meredith Martin and Katie Maxwell and Ben Tacker at the home office and said, what's the feedback from the field? And people were saying, hey, well, they really like it, but they also want stuff that has to do with that they could put on Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram and these other platforms. So we rebuilt the soundboard and relaunched it as a paid version this fall at St. Louis conference. So and then I had the joy of attending the Anaheim conference this spring and meeting many of you. And so we're going to talk a little bit about soundboard as we go through the next couple of weeks. And give a quick plug for Social 30 as well. I'll tell you how to get that. It's a free 30-day guide that I wrote to growing your social media business. But the focus of the next 6 weeks will be all about how do you navigate social media and how do you find new business on these platforms, because there's so much to learn about them mechanically and to navigate them. So we want you comfortable with all of those things so that when it's time to go out and have conversations and build your business, you're ready and you're going to come across as an expert. And so this is what we're going to be focusing on for the next 5 weeks. We're going to take a look at, of course, this is the education piece, is calls like this, and then any education that you choose to undergo yourself regarding social. We're going to be talking a lot about content, and we'll talk about it from both the perspective of what the soundboard can offer, but also, the soundboard offers a lot of healthy living content, but we don't want you to be a one-note instrument, and so encouraging you to put your own personal content and tell your story out there as well. Which leads us to this third point, which is, like it or not, as a business owner and as a franchise owner, you are a brand unto yourself. And it matters how you come across on these platforms. It matters how things look when other people check out your profiles. And it matters that you converse with people in a way that kind of meets the profile or the etiquette of these different platforms. So all that goes together to bringing you to a wider audience. And so point 4, of course, being the audience. Not only how do we grow our audience, but how do we leverage the technology that's provided to learn more about our audience and their interests. And so that's going to be a big focus for a lot of what we talk about in the later weeks. Finally, that leads to conversation, okay? Because just like in real life, if you're at the grocery store and you have a shopping cart full of kale and carrots and Swiss chard, and somebody asks you, you know, if you have a rabbit farm and you want to talk to them just real quickly about, no, I'm juicing, you don't turn around and just start talking to them about Juice Plus. You talk to them about what they ask about and what they're interested in, and you have that quick conversation. Social media works the same. You cannot expect to just post an article and then have people come knock down your door and ask to buy your product. That's not how it works. You can't just say, I'm a Juice Plus rep, and expect people to flock to you. And you can't just post, you know, anything really, but any kind of healthy living content and just think, I've done my job, I have posted, and now they will flock to me and they will be exhilarated by this content. No, you know that it's a two-way thing. So we've got to work on how do you go out, find conversations, start conversations. All this together results in the business growth. And as you know, in real life, that doesn't happen in a vacuum. It doesn't happen in a vacuum on social media either. So let's talk today and next week are all about Twitter. Twitter's the weirdest platform. It's got the highest learning curve, but if you do it right, it's the most powerful platform that you have out there at your disposal because of the public nature of it. So we'll get into that some. But we want to think through how you come across. Not only are you a person who's interested in healthy living, but you might have a family, you might be into horseback riding or fishing or hiking or whatever. All those things need to come across in your profiles. So if you've ever been on one of my trainings before, you've heard me say this, and I don't apologize for repeating myself because it's so true. I work with a lot of different brands, and we run soundboards for a lot of different industry verticals. And Juice Plus is my absolute favorite group of people to work with because I'm a Juice Plus consumer. I'm a longtime Juice Plus consumer. I have little children that are on the chewables. I love what the product does, but I also love the culture of the company. And that comes across loud and clear in that you all do not lead with how great the product is, product, and you do not lead the conversation with promises of vacation homes and Lamborghinis like other direct sales companies that are kind of in your space. Do you all, to an individual that I have met and spoken to, have a deep care for people and how to get them healthier and how to get their families healthier, and you have a really great answer to a lot of their struggles or problems, and then the business opportunity then starts to make sense to people. And so that, I just want to give everybody a pat on the back. It comes across loud and clear. We need that to come across loud and clear on social as well. So we cannot just post Juice Plus all the time. We've got to zoom out from that. Okay, so in thinking through that branding piece of who you are, first of all, on Twitter, your profile matters. You have to have a good-looking profile so that people will interact with you. So the first thing that you need to do is to make sure, and when you set up a Twitter account, Twitter does not make you do this. They don't walk you step by step through this. So this is why you need to think about it. And if you haven't thought about it in a while, it may be time to refresh it. So the first thing that you need to do, and let's just go ahead and hop over here to the live version. And we're looking at the Juice Plus helper handle, which, oh my goodness, my teammate did this to me today, y'all. This is me 15 years ago. Wow. Okay. Anyway, that caught me off guard. So with your profile, you, of course, you need to put in your icon first. Now, this is really important because if you don't put an icon here, I'm going to pick on somebody. If you don't put an icon there, you will have like a blank little silhouette. And I see it all the time. Okay, Jim, if you're on the call, sorry to pick on you. But this is what you look like. Now, you've got to fill this out for two reasons. One, you want people to know you're a real person. The second thing is this. Twitter is very good about policing their own platform. And one of the things that they do is actively try to shut down hate speech and ISIS recruiting, which is a good thing. But there's tons and tons and tons of fake accounts on Twitter that spew that garbage. And most of them don't have profile pictures. So if you, even though Jim may be doing a great job on Twitter, if he does not put a profile picture here at some point, Twitter will lock his account out and you get put into what's called Twitter jail. And if that happens to your account, it's not a big deal. You can log in, update your stuff, and then it'll unlock. But it'll stop publishing, and your stuff will not show up in searches. So it's more than just an appearance thing. You've got to tell Twitter, hey, that you're a real person. All right? So take the time to do that. Now, I'll call myself out here because my graphics team and I need to work on this. You have a lot of real estate back here. This is a very wide banner back here, and you can see our graphic got cut off because we didn't size it properly. So that's something that I'll need to work on. But you need to put some kind of good looking image back here. And then you have two things to think about. This is where you can put your name, and if there are 20 Stan Smiths on Twitter, they can all put Stan Smith here. This does not have to be unique. This is actually your Twitter handle, and this is what you tell people to follow. And this has to be unique. So when you are trying to come up with a Twitter handle name when you sign up, Stan Smith is already taken, right? But you got to be creative with first initial, last name, JP, something like that. Because what happens is if your desired handle name is taken, Twitter's going to suggest one for you. And I'm looking for an example. It's probably going to suggest one that's pretty terrible because it's going to be a bunch of random numbers. All right, so I'll pick on Jeanette here. If you're on the call, Jeanette, sorry. So this to me says Jeanette tried to get something like this and couldn't, and Twitter suggested this. Why do I recommend against this? Well, if you get a long string of numbers, it's hard to remember, and nobody else is going to remember it, even if you do. So if you get stuck with an unpleasant Twitter name, you can go up into your settings and change it as long as it's available. And that does not mess up your followers. It doesn't mess up anything with your account. It doesn't mess up anything with Soundboard. But I recommend doing that if you got stuck with a bad name. Now you also have 140 characters to tell the world about yourself. So be personal, but you got to be succinct. And then you have a field here where you can put your Juice Plus site or your Facebook page or whatever you want. But I recommend that you do that. I know that the more that I get to know the field, the less, I guess, the fewer fans of the Juice Plus site I run into. I know that it's not super popular, but there's no reason not to put it here because one of the things we'll talk about down the road is Twitter tells you how many people actually visit your profile. So, you know, when you're out there and you're tweeting and people are looking at your stuff, they can click on this right here and get taken to your profile, or even just hover over it and see who you are. And that gets counted. And so you want to know that, and you want to be looking good when people come and visit. All right. So then the other thing that you can do is you can put in your location. There's a field here for your location, and I recommend that you do that so that you can better get connected to local businesses, local individuals. And this is where people start to get hesitant with Twitter because they think, well, I don't really want people to know where I am. Oh, calendar's going crazy, sorry. And, oh my goodness. Sorry. But this is where I want you to try to detach your thinking about social media and about Twitter from what you know to be best on Facebook, okay? Twitter is not Facebook. Twitter is a very public platform. Twitter's purpose is to connect you with strangers. Facebook, its purpose is to connect you with people you already know and are comfortable sharing a little bit more intimate details about your life with. You know, what's going on in your vacations or your, your kids or grandkids' lives. Those kinds of details are totally fine and safe for Facebook. You do not put naked baby photos on Twitter, okay? It is way too public. Facebook's the backyard barbecue with your friends and family. You can talk about stuff. Twitter is the cocktail party where you don't know anybody and you have to have more surface level conversations to get involved with other people. But it's really great because it can connect you with people that you never would have otherwise come into contact with. And we'll unpack that more as we go. But all that to say, don't have a hesitation about putting some details about yourself out there because you want to get connected with new people. So let's talk about a tweet. What is a tweet? A tweet is a message published on Twitter. It has a 140 character limit. Why is that? Well, because back when Twitter was founded in 2006 and we were having to pay for text messages is what I was trying to say. And you're on your phone plan when you had to pay an extra $8 a month for 50 texts a month or whatever that we would burn through in an hour now. Twitter was kind of built to be the workaround for that because that 140 character limit was the limit for a text back then. And so they were trying to work on kind of being the web version of texting, but it caught on in such a different way. And of course, now with technological limitations being lifted, they could remove that limit if they wanted to. They've often talked about it, but they've decided not to because it's so unique to the platform. It keeps things fast and it keeps things immediate. Okay, they are not trying to be Facebook. Now let's talk about the power of a tweet. So when you send out a tweet, the first group of people that sees it or has the chance to see it is, of course, your followers, okay? But the power of your tweet is not limited to this number. So do not get lost in how many followers you have. It's a valuable number, but it's ultimately fairly meaningless. And here's why. When you tweet, you have the power to get seen by every single person on the platform, okay? And this is why politicians you hear about on the news get in a lot of trouble because they don't quite understand this. But everything you do on Twitter is completely public and can be found quite easily and quickly, not just by your followers, but by anybody on the platform. Okay, so let's do a search here. And here's an example. #healthy. A hashtag, and we'll talk more about this next week, but it is a conversation unifying system. And so when you look for hashtags, you can see everybody that has that hashtag in their message, regardless of whether or not you follow them. And you don't have to follow them to see this stuff. And so your stuff, your tweets can be seen by people who don't know who you are, who don't know what Juice Plus is, but are interested in a healthy food, healthy living, whole food conversation. Because what Soundboard's doing is tweeting for you and getting you included in these larger conversations. Okay, so we're not just talking to our followers like we are on Facebook, unless you make a public post. The other power of the tweet is this, and I'm just going to do a Google search here. Let's do a Google search for #healthy. Check this out. The very first thing that comes up are tweets. So somebody who's not even on Twitter, who thinks Twitter is stupid or can't be bothered with it, can still read tweets. You know, whether or not you follow the president on Twitter, you have seen some of his tweets because they show up in news articles every day. The point is that these little things are very portable across the web. The other thing is that even things that you don't necessarily think about, like Siri, these things find tweets and spit them out for results. Okay, so Twitter is not just a social media platform. It is a content distribution platform, and it has the capacity to get your content found far outside of the Twitter platform itself. And so when I hear folks say, well, I don't think I need to be on Twitter because my audience is there, and my audience is not there. A, don't make that assumption, and B, even if people who you tend to interact with say, well, I don't have a Twitter account, everybody's on Google. So there you go. To create a tweet, all you have to do is go to Twitter and hit the compose button. All right, so it's this one with the quill of all things. You tweet. We had done a search for #healthy, so it thought we wanted to mention that. So we can leave that there and say, have a healthy and safe, let's do another hashtag, Memorial Day weekend. Who's grilling out? All right, so we have just created this tweet. You can see it's going to keep a tally on how many characters you have left, and then tweet, and it's gone to your audience, to your followers, and then everybody else who's using those hashtags. So it can go far and wide. Now, from a content perspective, Soundboard, again, can tweet for you. Twitter is the only social media platform that allows outside systems to tweet for its users. So we can do that. Can and do that for you every single day. But you want to also think about adding your own content and engaging in conversations or finding conversations to engage with. So let's go through and show you a few things on how to do that and how it functions on Twitter. First of all, if you search for something or if you find something that you're interested in, by all means, reply to that tweet and start the conversation. So here is Health Ranger. Health Ranger is a great account to follow. They have, I think it's a he, but it feels like it's a they sometimes. But they always have good, just nutrition-based content going out. And here's a particular cartoon that I really liked. The farmer at the pharmacy giving out his vegetables as medicine. So when you hit this button down here at the bottom of every single tweet, you're going to see these buttons. Here's the reply button, and the compose box will pop up, and it will auto-populate the tweet with his handle at the beginning. So he's going to get a notification that someone is talking to him, and then you say whatever you want, and then you tweet it. Now keep in mind, this is not a private thing. Whoever follows Health Ranger has the capacity to see this, and whoever visits Health Ranger's account has the capacity to see this. So again, the Twitter's not where you have deep, dark conversations with your significant other, you know, about your finances or whatever. It's all public. And that's a good thing, because when you start talking to people and having conversations with people, just like at the cocktail party, it's very innocuous. It's nobody's mad when you tweet at them. They're on the platform to connect and to consume. So you can tweet at people all day long to start conversations to see what they're interested in, okay? Now, a retweet is very similar to a share on Facebook. And what a retweet does is that it's going to take a piece of content that you really like, and you're sharing it or posting it in your published timeline so that your followers have a greater chance of seeing it, because your followers might not follow that particular individual. So you're basically copying it to your published timeline. But the other thing that you're doing is you're acknowledging to the content creator of that piece that, hey, this is really valuable and really worth sharing. So, you know, it's a nice big thank you. If you would like to retweet something, again, all these buttons are present. You just hit the two little arrows here at the bottom of any given tweet, and it will show up in your timeline. Now, if you do something that you didn't mean to do, or you want to undo your retweet, you can hit that button again, and it'll disappear from your timeline. Now, I've got a couple more slides to go through, and I just, again, apologize for getting started late, and I know that if anybody needs to hop off, we were going to try to stick to our half hour, but I'd like to keep going and finish today, and then promise to start promptly next week. But if you have to go, I'll share the recording with Diane, of course, so I understand. Okay, so a like is a little bit similar to a like on Facebook. It's an acknowledgement of what you see, that you are acknowledging to that creator, hey, thank you for doing that, appreciate it. This does not get copied to your timeline, so your followers don't get it posted to them, but again, this is a public act, and this is how you can do this. You can go to anybody's account, and you can visit their profile, and you can see a couple of things. You can see everything that they've liked. So if you click on this, you'll see every tweet that this account has liked. So they're into golf. You can also, back to our conversation and replies, you can also click on tweets and replies here, and this is how you can see every conversation that this account has had, if they've had any. And so you can see the back and forth between people in this particular feed. So again, just showing you how public all of this is. Now, the way that I treat likes is I treat them like a bookmarking system, because Twitter goes so fast. And I hop on there. I want to learn what's going on about a topic. I'll search for a topic. I read the headlines. I don't want to leave Twitter right then. I don't want to take the time to read the whole article. I'll like something and use it as a bookmark so I can revisit it when I have more time. And pretty simple. To like a message, you just hit the heart at the bottom. So the last little thought I want to throw out tonight or today, and then take some time for questions if you have any, is this concept of public versus private accounts. So when you create an account on Twitter, it is by default public, meaning all the things that we've talked about today. Anybody can see your stuff. Anybody can follow you. You're going to pick up random people following you who are real people, and that's a good thing. You're going to pick up random accounts who follow you who are not real people, and that is probably just worth ignoring. You're going to pick up followers who are trying to sell you social media management. They are out there by the tens of thousands, and you are going to pick up followers that are trying to sell you followers, which we'll talk more about next week. Don't do it. You can lock your account on Twitter. You can make it private. What that means is only your followers can see your stuff. Let's hop over here to my followers. Let's go back home and see how many of these accounts are locked. When you lock your account on Twitter, you are throwing a huge wall up around your account, and you are telling people to keep out. This is not like Facebook. I'm looking for one that's got a lock beside it. So here we go. Daryl, if you're on the call, let's pick on you. All right, so Daryl's account is locked here. If you want to follow a locked account, watch what happens. You click follow, and it says pending, and a follow request has been sent to this individual and is pending their approval. I don't know what they'll ever do with that. So the point is, first of all, if you have a locked account, you're not going to pick up new organic followers, because people just don't want to be bothered with dealing with it on this very public platform. The other thing is that you're only tweeting to that handful of people that follow you, that you give permission to. You're not going to show up in searches. You're not going to show up in hashtag searches. Your account is, you've basically just completely isolated it from the rest of the world, and it's not going to grow. And it always boggles my mind when people sign up for Soundboard and they pay me to tweet for them, and then they have a locked account and they have 7 followers. It's totally pointless. And sometimes I even email those people and say, are you sure this is what you want? Daryl, you probably got that email from me. So I encourage you to think about it in 2 different ways. First thought is, if you have the type of account that has to be locked because you are sharing state secrets, then you need to think about opening a second Twitter handle that is more public and more open, and that's where you can go and share this healthy living stuff. Or if you just locked your account because you thought, I need it to be a little more private, I'm not comfortable with all this stuff, then I'm encouraging you and challenging you, don't think like that about this platform. Go ahead and unlock that account and let the strangers come in, because that is why you're here. You're here to rub elbows with new people. If you are a female and you have hesitation about talking to men on the platform or vice versa, you know, we've got to get past this idea that it's not like you're letting them into an intimate Facebook network where you talk about, you know, what's going on in your heart and your life with the people you care about. We got to keep it way, way, way up here with Twitter. And when you do pick up those followers, you can think, hey, somebody's interested in what I had to say about healthy living. Let me figure out how I can continue the conversation with them. And that's where you want to go with that. Okay. So does anybody have any questions so far? If you have not signed up for the soundboard, here's how to do it. The Social 30, as I plugged at the beginning, this is totally free. You do not have to be signed up for the soundboard. It is an ebook, free download. Check it out there. Here's all the ways to find me. Diane, you have any thoughts before we end for today?
Just keep this slide up for just a minute.
Sure.
So go through this again. What is the juiceplus.vi? Go through that. Just say exactly what you did one more time.
Okay, so the soundboard, if you're interested in signing up for the soundboard, it's the juiceplus.vip, and that's the tool that provides social media content for you for all your social media channels. And we'll talk more about that as we go, especially week 7. We'll spend the whole time talking about that. So that does have a cost of either $5, $10, or $15 a month, depending on what you choose. This is a link to a free document book that I wrote that I had fun working with Mitra on it, but it's her idea of Transform 30, giving people step-by-step what to do every day for 30 days to get more healthy. I thought, aha, everybody needs that for social media. So it is a free 30-day guide, step-by-step, every day, some action points or steps that you can take to grow your business on social media that day. It's not like a web program that you have to sign up for and log into and keep up with. It's just a document, and you work your way through it as you have time. But there's enough stuff there that you can do something new every day for a month to grow your business.
Got it.
And again, totally free.
Awesome.
And Mitra cooked the Transform 30 down to Shred 10. I could not cook the Social 30 down to Social 10. It was too much.
That's okay. It's a lot of content that we can just use.
That's right.
Right. And I know you're going to talk a little bit more about, soundboard and everything as the weeks go on. I think I'm going to probably wait until you share more about it later. But that's really cool. I like that. And so, okay, so does anybody have any questions? And how you ask a question is you just come down to the bottom screen where it says chat, and you can ask a question.
Okay, well, if you think of questions later, Vox me. And please check out our Facebook page if you have not found it before. We have a lot of great stuff going on there. We do product announcements about the soundboard there. I'm doing a series of interviews with people right now about their experience with soundboard, and we're posting them there. So a lot of great info and resources for you.
Did you say on Facebook you're doing that?
On the Facebook, yes.
I do have a quick question for you in regards to, you have your profile picture on Twitter, and obviously also on Facebook, and then you have a cover photo on Facebook and on Twitter. So is there any reason why your Facebook cover would be different on Twitter than it would be on Facebook?
Well, for one, they're very different sized images. This Twitter one is hard to deal with. It's 1500 by 500 pixels. And again, you can see I didn't do a great job with this one. But, on today's 35-inch monitors, when this thing gets blown up, it's huge. And so you really got to be more considerate with the Twitter one than you do with Facebook, because Facebook is actually more normal sized pictures. You can try it, but just play around with it and make sure it doesn't cut it off like it did for this one.
I do know, and this is something that you all might want to know, is that if you download the app called WordSwag, 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 you can create a photo or put a photo in there, and it's a text, and it says Twitter cover photo or Facebook cover photo, and so it will actually size it specifically for the platform.
Yeah, that's a good pointer there for sure.
All right, so maybe give us what are we going to talk about next week? This has been really fun. I even pulled up my Twitter account and made some changes while you were talking.
Oh, great. Yeah, so next week we're going to get more in depth with Twitter. It's going to be about trends, hashtags, getting involved in conversations, and then growing your follower base some. Because even though today I said it's basically meaningless, then there is one little thing you got to think through in regard to followers that we'll talk about next week. Heather has a question. Would you recommend linking Twitter and Facebook and Instagram accounts? Okay, great question, Heather. Here is the way you need to think about it. When you post, I'll see if I can find any examples. When you post, let's start with Instagram. I know Instagram is very popular. When you post from Instagram to Facebook, it looks great. The image comes through really nicely. When you post from Instagram to Twitter, it looks like garbage because the image doesn't come through, just the text, and then it makes a link to Instagram. So Twitter does not receive that very well. The other thing to think about is with Facebook, Facebook doesn't let you post to Instagram, I don't think. But Facebook does let you post to Twitter, but it looks terrible because, again, the image doesn't come through. It just does, and I don't know if I'll be able to find an example just looking, but it does just provide a link back to the Facebook post with a piece of text. So I recommend against that. The other thing that I recommend against is you can ask Twitter to auto post to Facebook for you. But when you do that, let me see if I can find somebody who's a Soundboard subscriber real quick. When you do that, what happens is, and Juice Plus knows this, okay? I've been trying to tell them this for a while. Well, let me look it up like this. When you publish a link to a website, and here's a great example, even though this isn't a Juice Plus site. When you publish a link to a website, that Twitter tries to go out and grab an image that's associated with that website. Okay, Juice Pluses does the exact same thing this one does right now, which is there's not an image, or occasionally an image of the trio capsules comes through, but it's cut in half. It doesn't look good. So knowing that, what I and my team work really hard at is when we're tweeting for you on Soundboard, we want to override that broken graphic with a good-looking image of something else that's related to the tweet. Now, what happens is when you ask Twitter to auto-post that to Facebook, it strips off our good-looking image, and you get an image of the trio capsules cut in half on Facebook. And if you tell it to auto do that and Soundboard's tweeting for you, then potentially multiple times a day in your Facebook feed, you've got that trio capsule image over and over and over and over, and it's not good for you or the brand. So all that to say, the only real safe option there that looks good and looks native is Instagram to Facebook, and the rest of it, I think, is not worth your time. And I couldn't find an example just scrolling, but.
So James, I have a quick question. Can you go to the top?
Sure.
Okay, so, or actually, can you go to your profile?
There you go.
Okay, and then under your description of who you are, you see the two links there, and it says tw.juiceplus.vp. I have a similar chain link, but mine says facebook.com/diane.w.sears.
Mm-hmm.
So is that okay to have, or you recommend that? I mean, what is that saying? What does that mean?
That's just saying that if you want anybody who's visiting Twitter to click on any other link to find you, then you're going to send them to their Facebook page, and that's totally fine.
Well, shouldn't that be my Juice Plus website possibly?
Ideally it would, but like I said at the beginning, I have yet to meet somebody who's like really enthusiastic about their Juice Plus site, and I mean a lot of people who say never send anybody there on purpose.
Right. Okay. So okay, got it. Okay. So is that okay then for it to have that link to Facebook?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, that was my question. Okay.
Okay. Cool. All righty. Well, Any more questions coming through? Okay, well, thanks so much for joining, and I will be prompt can be next week, and Vox me if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Happy
See you
to
later,
do it.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's see, one more thing coming through. Okay, bye, Charlene. Thank you. All right, Diane, I'll put this on YouTube and send you the recording here in a moment.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Okay.